The Atlanta Falcons finally got the missing piece to their team, and it's going to pay off going into next season. The Atlanta Falcons have had a big free agency this year. They went ahead and signed quarterback Kirk Cousins, and that has been their missing piece. They needed a quarterback. The rest of the team was pretty good. That was just their one thing they were missing, a good quarterback. Last year, of course, they had Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke, and they missed out on the postseason last year, and the Buccaneers won the division. And maybe if they would have had good quarterback play, you know, they would have won. But also, they had Arthur Smith employed as head coach, so that wasn't really helping either. But today, I'm here to talk about what the Falcons have done in free agency, and what I expect them to do next year, and what do I expect them to take in this year's first round of the NFL draft. Because now that they have the quarterback in the future, they're clearly not going to take a quarterback. I'm looking at someone at defense right now. But before I get into it, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. Comment, do you guys have the Atlanta Falcons winning the division next year? I know it's only March, but I really don't care. I'm still picking the Falcons to win the division next year. And let's get straight into it. So to start off the video, we should probably talk about the guy I was talking about earlier, the quarterback that they went ahead and signed in this offseason, and the guy who's going to be the quarterback of the future for the Falcons, Kirk Cousins. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you called Kirk Cousins the MVP of football before he got injured last year, I wouldn't be mad at you just because of the QB play that we received last year in the NFL. I know the Vikings record was kind of iffy, but Kirk Cousins was putting up some amazing stats before he got hurt last year, I'm not gonna lie. I know he had an amazing system in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell at head coach, Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the NFL in my opinion, and Jordan Addison. Those are some great things, but in my opinion, I feel like Kirk has really proved that he can be a good quarterback, and he's not just like a middle of the pack guy, because I truly believe that he's a top 10 guy in the NFL. I know he had an amazing coach and amazing weapons, but I feel like he's gonna bring all of that with him to Atlanta. I truly believe that he's gonna be a top 10 quarterback again this year. Falcons went ahead and gave Kirk a bag. They gave him a 4-year, $180 million deal with an average salary of $45 million he's going to be making a year. Might seem like a lot of money for a guy coming off an Achilles injury, but in my opinion, it's going to be worth it. I'm very excited to see what Atlanta's going to do with some offensive scheming, because their new offensive coordinator is going to be Bijan Robinson. He also came from the Sean McVay tree. And as you guys should know, his former head coach in Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell, also came from that tree. So I feel like they're going to have some big similarities in that offense already, and there's going to be some stuff that Kirk is definitely familiar with in this offense, and that just makes the signing even better and make it also seem like things are really going to work out in Atlanta for Kirk. Now, like I was talking about earlier, Kirk isn't going to have Justin Jefferson anymore. He's not going to have TJ Hawkinson anymore. He's not going to have Jordan Addison anymore. All three are great guys at their positions, but Atlanta has some great weapons that aren't on Justin Jefferson level, but they're still really good. So let's break down 4 of the weapons that they have in Atlanta. One was a new addition this offseason, and 3 of the guys, well, they've been here. Starting off with the wide receiver they have in Atlanta being Drake London, and this guy is pretty underrated. Drake London has been in the NFL for 2 years. He was drafted with the 8th overall pick in the 2022 draft class, and he hasn't had a season over 1,000 yards. And you want to know why he hasn't had that? He's had Arthur Smith at head coach, and we already know how bad he was at being a head coach. And he had horrible quarterback play. The 3 quarterbacks that this man had to deal with was Marcus Mariota his rookie year, Desmond Ridder for a couple of games, and then Taylor Heineke for a couple of games. He hasn't had a good quarterback. And with Kirk Cousins, I feel like things are going to be pretty different. Honestly, I feel like Drake London and Kirk Cousins can be one of the top duos in the NFL. Not like a top 5 duo, but definitely a top 10 one. Because Drake London definitely has the talent. He's a great wide receiver. He can make some incredible catches. He can all around just do some great things. And they also signed a guy in free agency that complements him perfectly. That being Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is going to be the guy who goes ahead and runs all the deep routes, and he's going to be an insane deep target. Him also can do some amazing catches. I really like what I saw from him in Chicago, and I feel like he's a great wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 option depending on what the Falcons go ahead and do in the draft. But Darnell Mooney, I also feel like he's going to be a great option for the Falcons, and he's going to be able to do some great things as well. But I also feel like he's going to be the wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 in this offense, because I just see the Falcons drafting someone in this draft in like the later rounds, either that being the 2nd round or the 3rd round. I could really see them going ahead and doing that to make this wide receiver core even stronger. They also have an amazing running back that they drafted last year being Bijan Robinson, and man, I am a huge fan of Bijan because he's truly a generational talent. Last year, Bijan should have had 1,000 yards rushing, but he didn't because Arthur Smith kind of had some CTE last year when it comes to coaching, and he really liked running backups, so he didn't have 1,000 yards rushing, but he was very close. And next year, Raheem Morris, the new head coach, already came out and said that he wants to use Bijan Robinson a lot in that offense, so So Bijan's going to get off next year a lot. And I really feel like he's going to be able to cater towards Kirk Cousins, because this might be one of the best running backs Kirk has had in his career, besides, of course, Dalvin Cook. But I feel like Bijan has a higher ceiling than Dalvin Cook. But I definitely think Bijan's going to get used in this offense a lot. He's great in the run game, and I hope you guys can agree with that. And then you have the guy that they drafted all the way back in 2021 being Kyle Pitts, and they drafted this man so high. They used a top 4 pick on him. And really, I just feel so bad for Kyle Pitts, because he's been so misused in the past 2 years. It's actually pretty bad. His rookie year, he had Matt Ryan at quarterback, and we all know how much Matt Ryan loves throwing the ball. So he had over 1,000 yards. He didn't have a lot of touchdowns though, but he looked great. Coming out the draft, Kyle Pitts was one of the most hyped up tight ends ever. He had some insane, just all around athleticism, and he looked great in Florida. In his rookie year, he really looked really good. He looked like he was going to be a top tight end in the NFL going forward. And then they lost Matt Ryan and had Marcus Mariota at QB, and Arthur Smith became head coach. And then Kyle Pitts, you know, he's had 2 droughts of a season in the past 2 years. It's been really quiet. And things are going to change in Atlanta this year. You can finally draft Kyle Pitts in fantasy football, ladies and gentlemen, because he's definitely going to have over 1,000 yards this season, unless he gets hurt. But I definitely see it happening with Kirk Cousins at helm. Kyle Pitts was already talking to Kirk Cousins about, you know, giving him the number 8 and stuff, and Kyle Pitts was like, oh, you can have it, it's fine, just make sure you throw me the ball. And when Kyle Pitts said, just make sure you throw me the ball, I know he was being for real when he said that. He wants the ball, because if you just looked at how many times he's dealt with bad quarterback play, Marcus Mariota, if you watched that Carolina game in 2022, of all the missed passes, oh my god, you would lose your mind. But finally, he's getting a good quarterback, thank god, and Kyle Pitts should be able to get used right. But yeah, the offense in Atlanta, I really feel like it's going to be great next season. They got the right pieces in Atlanta now for the offense. Things are just going to be pretty well, and I'm really excited to see what they go ahead and do. But that first round pick, I feel like they're not going to touch anything with the offense. They're going to leave it alone, and they're going to draft a defensive player with this pick. They have the number 9 pick, and I know the perfect person, that being Alabama's edge rusher, Dallas Turner. I'm an Alabama fan, so I saw a lot of Dallas Turner's games, and well, he played great. He's a very explosive guy coming off the edge, and his stats were wonderful. His PFF grade is an 81.6, which is in the green. That's amazing. He played 14 games, played a whole bunch of defensive snaps. He had 11 sacks, 11 hits, 33 QB hurries, and 1 batted pass in his time last year at Alabama in 2023. So he played pretty good, and he's going to be a top guy in this draft. And based on how the draft shakes up, I really see him landing there just based on all the team's needs and what I think they're going to go ahead and draft. And based on my own personal mock draft, I really feel like he'd be the perfect guy in Atlanta, because they do kind of need some help on that edge. So I feel like he'd be a perfect guy they do kind of need some help on that edge. So I feel like he'd be the great guy to go ahead and just go on that defense and make some plays right away. And they also have the perfect head coach to coach this whole team up and coach the defense up, being Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris was the intern coach at one point when they went ahead and fired Dan Quinn. So he's already been in Atlanta. He already knows the culture in Atlanta. So I feel like he's a great. Of course, last year they had Arthur Smith, like I've mentioned a lot in this video. And yeah, he had some weird thing for the backups with Jonnu Smith and Tyler Algier, but he's gone now. So the main stars in Atlanta, well, they're going to show. And Raheem Morris, he's going to coach up this defense, especially if they go ahead and draft Dallas Turner, because they got some playmakers. Imagine a defense with AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates, and Dallas Turner. That's a solid defense right there, especially with Raheem Morris coaching it all up. So I feel like this Atlanta team, well, they're definitely winning the division next year, and things are going to be looking pretty good. This team looks pretty well built and pretty solid. And when it comes to them spending money, well, they still got some dollars left in the cap space. And with Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson being all on rookie deals, they can go ahead and spend money in other areas of the field where that they need it for now. But of course, Kyle Pitts' contract is gonna come up in a few years, and I feel like if that doesn't change drastically, things are gonna get really interesting in Atlanta, which I think things are gonna turn around for Kyle Pitts, of course, like I said. But yeah, I truly believe this Atlanta team, it's gonna be pretty good next year. I know it's only March and a lot of things can happen before then, but I truly believe this Atlanta team is going to be good. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you guys have the Atlanta Falcons winning the division next year? Because I certainly do. And yeah, guys, that's going to be the video. If you enjoyed, please drop a like and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. Watch these videos right here if you enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys in the next one.